Before anyone taught you who to be, before the world placed its labels on your name, you arrived here already whole. Yet somewhere along the way, voices grew louder than your own, voices that questioned your worth, measured your value, and tried to convince you that you were not enough. Today is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you were before doubt learned your name. Self-confidence is not a gift given to the lucky. It is a power waiting to be claimed. And when you choose to believe in yourself, not loudly, not proudly, but deeply and truthfully, something remarkable happens. You stop asking the world for permission to exist, and you begin to stand as living proof that you were always enough. Self-confidence is the quiet voice that says, I belong here, even when the world is loud with doubt. It does not shout to be noticed, nor does it demand attention. It lives calmly within you, steady and patient, reminding you of your worth when circumstances try to erase it. Long before anyone applauds you, long before success introduces your name to a room, self-confidence asks only one thing of you: to stand by yourself when no one else does. There will be moments when you walk into spaces that were never designed with you in mind. Rooms where you feel unseen, unheard, or underestimated. In those moments, self-confidence becomes your anchor. It whispers that your presence is not an accident, that your journey has earned you the right to be there. You do not need to explain your existence or soften your light to make others comfortable. You are not trespassing in your own destiny. The world often confuses confidence with arrogance, but they are strangers to each other. Arrogance is loud because it is fragile. Self-confidence is quiet because it is rooted. It does not compare, compete, or seek validation. It understands that another person's success does not threaten its own. When you are confident, you celebrate others without shrinking yourself, and you rise without pushing anyone down. Self-confidence is also born in struggle. It is shaped in moments when life bends you but does not break you. Every time you survive disappointment, rejection, or failure, something inside you grows stronger. You begin to trust yourself, not because everything went right, but because you learned you could endure when things went wrong. Your scars become proof, not of weakness, but of resilience. There will be days when doubt returns, because doubt is persistent. It will remind you of past mistakes and whisper fears about the future. But self-confidence does not argue with doubt. It outgrows it. It says, I may not have all the answers, but I trust myself to learn. It says, I may fall, but I will rise wiser. Confidence is not certainty. It is self-trust. When you begin to believe in yourself, your walk changes, your voice changes, your choices change. You stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. You stop apologizing for taking up space and start honoring the space you occupy. The way you treat yourself becomes a lesson the world learns from. And one day, perhaps quietly, you will notice that the same world that once doubted you is now listening. Not because you proved them wrong, but because you finally believed yourself right. Self-confidence does not make you better than others. It makes you free, free to speak, free to dream, free to become. And in that freedom, you discover a truth that was always yours. You were never meant to ask if you belonged. You were meant to know. When you believe in yourself, your presence becomes your permission, no approval required. You stop waiting for someone to nod before you speak, to invite you before you step forward, or to validate what you already feel in your bones. Self-belief teaches you that you do not need a stamped certificate from the world to stand where your heart knows you belong. Simply being there, grounded in who you are, is enough. Too often, people pause their lives at the doorway of doubt. They wait to be chosen, praised, or reassured before they move. But confidence does not arrive after permission. It arrives when you decide you are worthy of your own trust. The moment you believe in yourself, hesitation loosens its grip. You may still feel fear, but fear no longer decides your direction. You begin to move anyway, carrying courage quietly within you. Believing in yourself changes how you occupy space. You no longer enter rooms hoping to disappear or blend into the background. You enter aware of your value, even if no one acknowledges it right away. Your voice becomes steadier, not because it is louder, but because it is honest. Your posture shifts, not with pride, but with self-respect. You are no longer asking, "Is this okay?" You are saying, "This is me." There will always be opinions, some kind, some careless, some meant to shrink you. Self-belief does not mean those opinions vanish. It means they lose their authority. When you trust yourself, criticism becomes information, not a verdict. Praise becomes appreciation, not oxygen. You remain rooted, knowing that your worth does not rise or fall based on how others perceive you in a single moment. Believing in yourself also frees you from comparison. You stop measuring your progress against someone else's timeline. You understand that another person's confidence does not steal from yours. There is room for many voices, many successes, many stories. Self-belief allows you to walk your path without constantly looking sideways, without doubting every step just because someone else seems ahead. This kind of confidence is built slowly. It grows each time you keep a promise to yourself, each time you choose courage over comfort, each time you honor your truth even when it feels inconvenient. It is strengthened when you forgive yourself for past choices and still move forward. You learn that believing in yourself is not a single decision, but a daily practice. And as you live this belief, something powerful happens. People begin to feel your certainty before you speak. Opportunities recognize your readiness, not because the world suddenly became generous, but because you stopped shrinking your presence. When you believe in yourself, you do not demand permission, you embody it. And in doing so, you give others silent permission to believe in themselves too. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the courage to rise while fear watches. Fear will always be present, standing quietly in the corner of every new beginning, every bold decision, every unfamiliar path. It does not disappear simply because you are strong. In fact, fear often appears precisely because you are about to grow. Confidence does not demand that fear leave. It asks only that fear step aside while you move forward anyway. There are moments when your hands tremble, when your heart beats faster than your thoughts, when doubt questions every step you are about to take. In those moments, confidence is not loud reassurance. It is a gentle choice, a decision to take one step more, even when certainty has not arrived. Courage is not a feeling. It is an action taken in the presence of fear. And each time you act despite it, confidence quietly deepens. Fear has a habit of exaggerating consequences. It paints the future with worst-case scenarios and convinces you that failure will define you forever. Confidence answers not by denying the possibility of falling, but by trusting your ability to rise. It says that even if you stumble, you will learn. Even if you fail, you will endure. This trust in your resilience is what allows you to move when comfort would prefer you stay still. Many people believe confident individuals are fearless, but that is not the truth. They simply refuse to let fear sit in the driver's seat. Fear may speak, but it does not command. Confidence listens, acknowledges the risk, and still chooses growth. It understands that staying safe can sometimes be more dangerous than taking a chance, because safety can quietly shrink a life. Each time you face fear and rise, something changes inside you. You begin to recognize your own strength. You realize that fear did not destroy you before, and it will not destroy you now. This memory becomes a source of power. It reminds you that you have walked through uncertainty before and survived. Confidence is built on these memories, layered one brave moment at a time. There will be days when fear feels heavier, louder, more convincing. Confidence does not shame you for those days. It does not demand perfection. It simply invites you to keep going, even slowly, to breathe, to stand, to try again. Courage does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "Not today," and takes another step forward. When you rise while fear watches, you change your relationship with yourself. You stop seeing fear as an enemy and begin to see it as evidence that you are alive, evolving, stretching beyond the familiar. Confidence grows when you honor that truth. Not because fear vanished, but because you chose not to vanish in its presence. And in that choice, you discover that your courage has been waiting for you all along. Your self-worth is not decided by applause, criticism, or comparison. It is decided by you. Long before anyone claps for you or turns away, your value already exists. It does not wait for approval, and it does not disappear in silence. The world may try to measure you by outcomes, opinions, and numbers, but none of those things have the authority to define who you are. Only you do. Applause can feel beautiful, but it is temporary. One moment it is loud, the next it fades. If your self-worth depends on it, you will always be chasing the next sound, the next nod, the next validation. And when the applause stops, as it always does, you may begin to question yourself. True confidence understands this truth. Appreciation is welcome, but it is not the foundation. Your worth must stand even in quiet rooms. Criticism, on the other hand, can cut deeply if you allow it to live inside you. Words spoken by others can echo longer than they should, especially when they touch old insecurities. But criticism reflects the speaker's perception, not your reality. Self-worth teaches you to listen without absorbing poison. You can learn from feedback without letting it become your identity. You are more than someone else's momentary judgment. Comparison is perhaps the most subtle thief of confidence. It convinces you that someone else's success diminishes yours, that their progress makes your journey smaller. But your path was never meant to look like anyone else's. The timing, the struggles, the victories, they are uniquely yours. When you compare, you overlook your own growth. Self-worth invites you to honor your pace and trust your process. Deciding your worth for yourself is not always easy. It requires honesty and courage. It means choosing to respect yourself even when you make mistakes. It means speaking to yourself with kindness instead of cruelty. It means recognizing that you are allowed to evolve without being punished for who you used to be. This decision is not made once, it is made daily. There will be days when doubt returns, when old voices try to reclaim space in your mind. On those days, self-worth becomes an act of resistance. You remind yourself that you are still worthy while learning, still valuable while growing, still enough while becoming. You do not need to earn dignity. It is already yours. When you decide your own worth, your life begins to shift. You stop begging for acceptance and start setting boundaries. You stop shrinking to fit places that cannot hold you. You walk away from what dishonors you, not in anger, but in self-respect. The world may not always understand your confidence, but it will feel it. And slowly, something powerful happens. You become steady, not untouchable, not perfect, but grounded. Applause becomes a bonus, criticism becomes guidance, comparison loses its grip. Because deep within you, a truth has settled. Your worth is not up for debate. It was never theirs to decide. The moment you trust yourself, your dreams begin to recognize your voice. Until then, they remain distant, almost shy, waiting to see if you truly believe you are worthy of them. Dreams are not drawn to hesitation. They respond to self-trust. When you begin to trust your instincts, your choices, and your inner knowing, your dreams stop feeling like fantasies and start feeling like destinations. Trusting yourself does not mean you have all the answers. It means you believe you can find them. It means you accept that uncertainty is part of growth, not a sign to stop. When you trust yourself, you no longer abandon your dreams at the first sign of difficulty. You stay, you listen, you learn, and slowly, the path becomes clearer, not because it was always visible, but because you chose to walk it. Many people silence their dreams because they do not trust their own voice. They question their abilities, their timing, their worthiness. They look outward for reassurance, waiting for someone else to confirm what their heart already knows. But dreams require intimacy with yourself. They require you to believe that your ideas matter, that your desires are not random, that your vision has a purpose, even if no one else sees it yet. When you trust yourself, your dreams begin to speak back. Opportunities align in unexpected ways. You start noticing signs you once ignored. You recognize doors instead of walls. This does not mean the journey becomes easy. It means it becomes honest. You stop chasing what looks impressive and start pursuing what feels true. And that truth gives your dreams strength. Self-trust also teaches patience. Dreams do not always unfold on your preferred timeline. There will be delays, detours, and moments of doubt, but when you trust yourself, you do not interpret delays as rejection. You understand that preparation is happening, that growth is taking place beneath the surface. You allow the dream to mature just as you are maturing alongside it. There will be moments when fear whispers that you are not ready, that you are aiming too high, that you should lower your expectations. Trusting yourself means hearing those whispers and choosing not to obey them. It means remembering past moments when you survived what you once thought you couldn't. That memory becomes proof. Proof that you are capable of more than fear allows you to imagine. As your trust deepens, you stop seeking permission to dream boldly. You stop apologizing for wanting more meaning, more impact, more fulfillment. Your dreams no longer feel like borrowed ideas. They feel like reflections of who you are becoming. You begin to act in alignment with them, even in small ways, and those small ways begin to add up. And one day, you realize something quietly powerful. The dream you were waiting for was waiting for you too, waiting for your courage, your belief, your trust. When you finally claim it, not with arrogance but with faith in yourself, the dream responds. It steps closer. It calls your name. And in that moment, you understand that trusting yourself was never a risk. It was the beginning of everything you hoped for. You are not required to be perfect, to be powerful, only authentic. Perfection is a heavy costume the world asks you to wear, stitched together with impossible expectations and constant comparison. Authenticity, on the other hand, is freedom. It allows you to breathe, to move, to exist as you are without apology. Power does not come from polishing every flaw. It comes from standing in your truth, even when it feels exposed. So many people delay their lives waiting to be flawless. They wait to speak until their voice is steady, to begin until they feel ready, to show themselves only after every rough edge is smoothed away. But power does not wait for perfection. Power is born the moment you stop hiding, the moment you allow yourself to be real, uncertain, learning, evolving. You step into a strength that cannot be imitated. Authenticity is not about having no weaknesses. It is about not pretending they do not exist. It is about owning your story without editing out the hard chapters. When you show up as you are, you give yourself permission to grow without shame. You realize that mistakes are not evidence of failure, but signs of effort. That vulnerability is not weakness, it is courage without armor. The world may try to convince you that you must look a certain way, sound a certain way, succeed a certain way to be taken seriously. But the truth is this: people are moved by honesty, not perfection. They connect to your sincerity, your humanity, your willingness to stand openly in who you are. Authenticity creates trust, and trust creates influence. That is real power. There will be moments when being authentic feels risky, when showing your true self invites judgment or misunderstanding. But shrinking yourself to avoid discomfort slowly erodes your spirit. Each time you silence your truth to fit expectations, you step further away from your own power. Authenticity may not always be applauded, but it will always be grounding. It keeps you aligned with yourself. Being authentic also frees you from exhausting comparison. You stop trying to replicate someone else's success or personality. You understand that your power lies not in imitation, but in originality. There has never been another you, and there never will be. When you honor that uniqueness, you bring something into the world that no one else can offer: Authenticity teaches self-respect. You begin to make choices that reflect your values instead of chasing approval. You say no when something does not align, and yes when it does, even if it scares you. You trust your inner voice more than external noise. This trust becomes a quiet confidence that does not need to prove itself. Over time, you will notice a shift. You feel lighter, stronger, more at peace. Not because life became perfect, but because you stopped pretending. You allowed yourself to be human. And in that honesty, you discovered your power. Perfection may impress, but authenticity transforms. It transforms how you see yourself, how you move through the world, and how others experience you. When you stand fully as you are, without masks or excuses, you realize something profound. Your power was never hidden in who you might become one day. It has always lived in who you already are. When you walk in self-confidence, you teach the world how to treat you without saying a word. Before you speak, before you explain, before you defend yourself, your energy speaks first. The way you carry yourself becomes a silent language, one that sets expectations and draws boundaries. People respond not only to what you say, but to what you believe about yourself. Confidence announces itself quietly, yet clearly. Self-confidence shows in the way you hold your head steady, even when opinions shift around you. It lives in the calm of your reactions, in the strength of your presence, in the certainty that you do not need to perform to be respected. When you know your worth, you no longer chase validation. You attract respect by honoring yourself first. The world notices when you stop begging for acceptance and start standing in self-respect. How you treat yourself becomes a lesson others learn from. If you constantly apologize for your existence, others may feel permitted to overlook you. If you accept disrespect in silence, it may repeat itself. But when you walk with confidence, when you set boundaries, when you speak with intention, when you refuse to shrink, you communicate that your time, energy, and presence matter. Without confrontation, you establish standards. Self-confidence also teaches the world how to listen to you. When you speak from a place of belief, your words carry weight. You are no longer trying to convince. You are expressing. You do not rush your sentences or doubt your thoughts midway. You trust your voice, and that trust invites others to trust it too. Confidence does not dominate conversations. It grounds them. There will always be people who test your boundaries, who misinterpret kindness as weakness, who mistake silence for permission. Self-confidence does not respond with anger or aggression. It responds with clarity. It knows when to step back, when to speak up, and when to walk away. This discernment is powerful. It shows that you value yourself enough to protect your peace. Walking in confidence also changes the relationships you allow into your life. You begin to recognize what aligns with your values and what drains your spirit. You stop clinging to connections that require you to diminish yourself. You choose spaces where your presence is welcomed, not merely tolerated. This choice sends a strong message. You respect yourself and you expect respect in return. Confidence teaches patience. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself to everyone. You understand that not everyone will understand you, and that is okay. The right people, the right opportunities, the right environments respond naturally to authenticity and self-belief. You stop forcing doors open and start walking toward those already opening for you. As you continue to walk in self-confidence, you notice a quiet shift in the world around you. Conversations change, treatment changes, expectations change. Not because you demanded it, but because you modeled it. You showed the world, through your presence, how you expect to be treated. And perhaps the most powerful lesson of all is this: when you walk in self-confidence, you are not only teaching the world how to treat you, you are teaching yourself. You are reminding yourself with every step that you are worthy of respect, dignity, and honor, without speeches, without explanations, simply by being.